Okay, here we are.
Hello.
Welcome, Dr. Venus. This is the Three Docs Book Club podcast, and today we're going to talk about The Sports Gene by David Epstein. And overall, what did you think?
Well, it was I have to say very interesting to read. Very hard to read because it's full of scientific facts. So it took me a while to digest everything, understand everything, and I still don't understand everything. So, but highly interesting. I would say the target audience for this should be scientists, should be
Mm-hmm.
sports, anyone who is interested in sports and is in that field, trying to find the best athletes,
Mm-hmm.
athletes who want to become the best of the best. And maybe not even, if you just want to be an athlete, you don't have to be competing at the highest level. Just everyone can glean something from this
Right,
book who's
right.
interested in sports and in science.
I
So
agree.
very
I agree.
interesting.
Yeah, I think that for those of us that just want to get better at
Yes,
things. It uh, the the book talks about how important it is just to have regular, high quality training and incremental improvements. Is also what I got out of the book too. Is that
yes,
sometimes the extra practice is not necessarily the best, but it's just the right practice at the right time and with the right circumstances. And
yes.
that was really interesting to me as well. All right. So let's go over to our slides and we'll see. Okay. This is episode 10. Woo. That's pretty good. Okay. Um, so, Dr. Venus, you start. And first of all, we started this whole thing because Daniel Pink says there were 21 books that changed his life. And so this was one of them. So, what does Daniel Pink have to say about this one?
Well, he says pretty much what we introduced ourselves with. It provides the book provides scientific data about those things that are not under our control, such as our height and how it affects the outcome in sports. And he says he loves sports and he loves science, and this book has changed how he thinks about both. I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed. I want to know more of how did it change your thinking? What
Mm,
did you know? What do you know now that you didn't know before? And he falls a little bit short in his explanation in my mind. Um, and he may be doing it because he doesn't want to give the book away,
mm.
I don't know, but was hoping for a few more insights from him. What did you get out of it?
Yeah,
That
exactly.
makes the book so worthy of reading.
Right, right. Because it's a task. It's a monumental task. At least it was for me.
For me
Um,
too.
uh, just the dense information, really, really good. But yeah, how I wonder. Well, I know I've seen that he runs. That Mr. Pink runs. So
Oh,
maybe
okay.
in his running journey, maybe this influenced that in that way. So
Yeah.
you know what, Dr. Venus, we're gonna have to invite Daniel Pink to the last episode, and we'll see.
Wouldn't that be fun? Yes. Yes. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes, and then we'll do highlights of our own. So that
Yes.
would be pretty cool.
Yes.
All
That
right,
would be cool.
all right. So your first discussion point, you get to go first this week.
Okay, so this is what the book is about. So it says the author, Mr. Epstein, thinks that extraordinary athletic performance is a combination of genetics and the environment, and should be a basis for selecting the right sport for each individual. So, in essence, you cannot, and we'll get it on the next slide. So he disputes that talent is not, you can have all the talent in the world, but if your environment or your genetics do not help with a certain sport, maybe that's not where you excel. And an example of that is actually, he speaks a lot about genetics, but what he actually means is physical attributes as well. So it goes without saying that a person, for example, the pygmies will not become high jumpers. When you're very short, you'll have a hard time becoming a high jumper. And if you're very tall, you might have a good chance of being a good high jumper. And then other physical characteristics, for speed running and or short, or endurance running, your physical attributes can help with that. So that's what he says in essence. So your talent can get you only so far.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted, speaking of high jumping, I think this would be a good little clip to play. Slow motion. Mondo, who is a high jumper this past year, soars to new heights. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to watch this one high jumper, and it just goes. We'll get your reaction here in a little bit. Okay, so here is. I muted the sound. .30 meters. Watch this. Okay, so he goes up and he pulls and he's pulling and he's pulling and he lets go of the stick before he even gets over.
The difference is amazing because the stick doesn't even take him that high.
Right. Okay, so that definitely is a combination of skill and practice.
Yes.
And just boldness. That's a 2-story building.
That is unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
Congratulations. That is awesome.
Wow.
So I just happened to come across that last night and I thought, well, oh my gosh, high jump. Oh.
That is just unbelievable.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to next.
Yeah, so he, and I have to agree with him there. So he has actually proven in his research, along with other scientists, that there used to be a 10,000-hour rule. Erickson basically states that this is the minimum you have to practice, and everyone, he says in his book, who practices 10,000 hours will achieve elite status. And that he totally disproves in his book. There's lots of elite performers that have reached between their elite status between 3,000, 4,000 hours. So
right.
A lot less than the 10,000 hour rule. And of course, one has to say here that Erickson did his study mostly on violin players, so music.
Right.
So
Right.
that's a totally different story when you consider the physical attributes of athletes that predispose you to achieve elite status sooner rather than later. So it makes a difference, along with all the other ingredients, the motivation, the
Right.
practice time, the environment, the players. There's so many other factors that play into it. The players, the athletes, pain tolerance. So there's just so many different genetic and environmental and physical factors that combine to really make you great at a sport. And then here's the other thing that he points out. You have to be selective in what sport you choose. You have to choose the sport that matches your talent, your physical attributes, and the environment. So just because you love soccer doesn't mean you can become a good soccer player.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Michael Jordan, I believe, loved baseball.
Yes.
And his first love was baseball, but we all know what he excelled at for a lifetime and inspired whole generations in basketball. So
yeah, and that's what he's saying. You have to match your abilities to the sport.
Absolutely.
You have to be selective at what you're choosing. And he also advocates that like in music, they say you need an early start. You need an early start to become the best. And they say that the typical, when you're really young, 5, 6 years old, you want to start with a violin, a piano, whatever, or even earlier. But with athletes, it's not the same.
Sometimes it's different.
Yeah, and he advocates for most people that achieve elite status. They actually try out many sports before they settle on the one that takes them to the heights that they want to go to.
Right, and that you'll see that connects with Angela Duckworth's book. That's the quote that I chose to connect with this book. She has several things to say about sports and just trying and keeping up the effort.
Yeah, keep going and keep trying, keep finding. Don't give up. Keep finding find your niche, basically.
Right. And this 10,000 hour rule, it's not really a rule. It was kind of in Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, he mentioned it, and that the Erickson study, and then people took the quote from Gladwell's book and they just ran with it, and they said, okay, so it must be a hard and fast rule. I've got 9,999 hours, so I need one more hour and I'm going to be great at this.
Yeah.
But as a matter of fact, there was a golfer that in this book who he tried to prove that rule, and he wanted to become a pro golfer, and he was good at it, and he really wanted it, and he had some talent, and so he documented all his hours. But there's something called qualifying school that you have to do to become a member of the PGA and compete in their tournaments. And unfortunately, he spent all the hours and he did all the work, but he never quite qualified for Q school to get in the pros. So it's and I believe you wrote a book about it, and it's a pretty interesting story. Just because he put his life on the line, he dedicated many hours, and he really was trying to do this, but he did not. And I think, of course, he found other value in it, and it's not a sad story by any means. Because I feel like he was a very successful person, but it was an interesting.
And I think Epstein says it too. I have to find it. I think he's in the end he says that there's really not any one rule or one size fits all. So there's a lot of things that have to come together in order to make it happen. So and you cannot say if I practice 10,000 hours, then I'm up there. It's just so much that plays into the final success or lack thereof.
Absolutely.
So anything can happen.
Yes. Okay, so on this one, let's share the screen because the addition to our slides did not quite go. So let's do this. All right, share screen. There we go. Can you see that?
Barely.
Barely. Let me see if I can present.
There.
Okay.
So
All right. So the connection to other books that you also chose Angela Duckworth's book, Grit.
Yes.
And so what does that mean? The focus on talent distracts us from effort.
Yes, you cannot you cannot count on talent alone. She said talent. If you focus on talent, it distracts from all the other ingredients that make someone successful. So you cannot, talent alone doesn't get you where you need to. You can have little talent, but if you have the grit and the motivation and you spend the time and you practice a lot, you might go further than someone who has the talent but doesn't really care.
Right.
Doesn't really want to spend the time to get better, or doesn't really want to put in the hours it takes to improve. So focus on talent is not, on talent alone is not good. And she came up with that recipe: talent times effort results in skill. And then you take that skill and you time it by effort, and you arrive at achievement.
Right. So her influence or her emphasis on effort is more important than talent or skill, because she uses it twice in her recipe. Yeah, I like that.
But it leaves out physical attributes for sports, so it leaves that out, and it leaves out the environment.
Yes, or opportunity. I was thinking opportunity too.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I love chess and I study chess and I play all my family members and play everyone I could find, but I don't have the opportunity to play better, like a chess club or people better than me at chess, then I probably won't become a grandmaster, because you need the opportunity as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And I liken it to just take any people learning a language, for example. When you are a baby and you learn your native language, it seems, I don't want to say effortless, because you start somewhere, but it's a natural acquisition of what's spoken around you. Then when you go through school, like when I went through school and I learned English and French, I loved it, number one, so I was motivated. Number two, I was young. I studied and I learned it much easier. Now, as a grown-up, learning a language is not as easy as it was then as a kid. You know,
Right.
and I can't explain it, but I know that I tried in old age to learn Spanish, and it wasn't nearly as easy, you know, to get started with it, to learn it. I tried to learn Korean while I was stationed there, and it was not. It was nothing like learning English and French as a student in school.
Right.
So,
Right.
and to me, that is the opportunity that you miss, you know.
True. Yeah,
So,
you
so
do.
here, my recommendation to all parents: if you speak a second language, teach your kid. They don't have to use it later if they don't want to, but give them the opportunity to acquire it naturally versus later on saying, I wish my parents had taught me that language.
Yes, that's true. That's so true, because it'll be easier for them when they're young.
Yes, very true.
Yes. Okay, so all right. Here is the first discussion point that spoke to me. There are brothers, there's a family, the St. Brown family, and the father was a Mr. Universe, and he had 3 sons, and he determined when they were babies that he wanted them to be professional football players. So he started when they were very young and with a training regimen. And of course, he is a healthy, strong person. So he knew how to feed them and keep them healthy and keep them strong. And he gave them opportunities. He coached them. He introduced them early to the sport. And right now, one of them plays for the Lions and the other one plays for the Saints in professional football. There are 3 sons. They all played high-level college, and 2 of the 3 have gone on to professional football. So I think that was a perfect meeting of skill and genetics and opportunity and training and environment. You know, it was a beautiful thing to see that they're able to be successful in what their parents wanted them to be, and wonderfully they seem to love and enjoy the sport as well. You know, it was something they would have chosen, I think, for themselves.
Or think of the Venus sisters in tennis.
Oh, yes,
Same
absolutely.
thing, coached by their dad. That's what they did all from a young age, and they reached unmeasurable heights.
That's right. And you know, they it's wonderful that they were able to enjoy and love that and share that with others too.
Yes,
their skills.
And also very different body physiques, you know. One of them tall and slender, and the other one very, very robust and
muscular,
athletic.
kind of.
Yeah. And still, so amazing. Yeah, opportunity, I think, plays a large factor.
Yes. Yeah. And so the quote directly from our book, athletes are essentially always distinguished by their training environments and their genes. In some cases, as with the ability of baseball hitters to react to a pitch, a skill that seems based on superhuman reflexes is largely a result of a learned mental database.
Yeah.
So they could, when they tested and timed the reaction time between watching a pitch and then being able to hit a home run, you know, milliseconds. But these people are trained so well that they could identify what kind of pitch was coming just by the body language of the pitcher.
Yes, yeah, and that's an acquired, cognitively an acquired skill through through training and lots of practice where you can anticipate the reaction, anticipate the flight path of a ball, and when to intercept it, when to catch it.
Yeah,
yes,
that was fascinating. And the book also deals with volleyball players and knowing where the ball's going and when to jump and how to respond, and just and also training those fast twitch muscles to do what you need them to do. That was pretty fascinating. I enjoyed reading that.
Yes.
So then also long distance runners were dealt with a lot in the book. And of course, the Kenyans are famous for that. And so Peter Matthews has a great quote in here, and that in these days of computer games, sedentary pursuits, and driving our children to school, it is the hungry fighter or the poor peasant who has the endurance background and the incentive to work on it who makes the top distance runner. And he, of course, he was in Kenya looking at runners who, in order to just go to the store, they would have to run 5 miles, to go get what they want and then carry it back. And not like us, where we have to walk and go through street signs, crosswalks and sidewalks and everything like, they had to go into the wild to get what they need and come back. And so I thought that was really fascinating.
Running was a way of life. Running is a way of life. And then interestingly, at one place in the book, he points out that some of them that were recruited by the top colleges to come here and boost their running program lost the interest because that it wasn't their motivation to run. They ran for a living in their home country, but when they came over here, all they saw was the opportunity to improve their academics and achieve academic success. So they were motivated in building upon their running skills. So that was, to me, very interesting.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of a lifelong decision, or at least every once in a while decision where you determine, okay, I'm going to do thus and so for so many years or whatever, or today or tomorrow. But sometimes you change your mind and the motivation isn't there.
Yeah. And if you lack motivation, you'll stop at a level. You don't improve. You just stop.
Right. Absolutely. So connecting to other books on this, I mentioned you spoke about Angela Duckworth.
Yes.
I'm going to do the second point first.
Okay.
Sometimes the grit you have compels you to keep moving forward and try something else. So find your hidden talents. So one of the athletes, the triathlete, she said, we all have talents, and sometimes those talents are hidden, and you have to dare to try something new, or you might not know what you're good at. And so her story, she started out at one thing, but then learned that she enjoyed other things. Of course, triathlete, so she was good at many things and a very strong athlete. So not being afraid to try something new is what we kind of touched on a little bit.
And that's what Epstein points out. Those who try many different sports as they grow up, they will eventually find their niche. If they want to excel at some sport, they find out, well, I'm best doing this, and that's where you need to focus on.
Exactly. All right. Let's see. One little tidbit, a quirky fact. I'm calling this the quirky fact section. Okay. So, you know how people who are small in stature many times are cold more often than someone who is large? Well, the surface area compared with the volume of the human body, the better human radiator and the more quickly the body unloads heat. So hence, short, skinny people get cold more easily than tall, hefty people. Heat dissipation is critical for endurance performances because the central nervous system forces the slowdown or a complete stop of effort when the body's core temperature passes about 104 degrees. So that I thought that was interesting because I know of people who have a small surface area, they cool down faster and they're always
Yes.
cold.
Yes, I can attest to that. However, being cold all the time also has to do with your red blood cells. So if you're anemic, you're cold. Period.
Yeah, that's true. That's
yeah.
true.
So it's many factors, many genetic things that contribute to that, but the heat dissipation certainly plays a role in whether you are an endurance runner. Because if you can't dissipate heat, I would imagine you overheat faster than somebody who can dissipate the heat and go further. So
Yeah.
all of that plays a very big role, and there's some interesting things in here if I can find it, because he noticed something about people that caught malaria, that have malaria, and there was a good blurb about what that helps them do athletically. So I gotta find it. It's really interesting. Let's see if I can see it. I might not. I don't have it in my head, but
Okay.
I don't know. It's something. It's about.
Is it because
He
of
brings
the?
up- Yeah, he brings up there's no one size fits all training plan. If you're not responding well to a particular training stimulus, try something different. But in the same breath, he mentions myostatin is responsible for stopping muscle growth. So if you, I guess, have a high load of myostatin, eventually your muscles won't go any further. It stops muscle growth. And there's, of course, athletics where you need muscles. I can imagine weightlifting, seeing, a lot of those heavy weights. And you can go only so far. So if you have that condition, then there is, he says 80% of difference in height between people being studied is attributable to genetics, and around 20% of the environment, which is very important. The warrior slave theory of Jamaican sprinting, malaria and muscle fibers. So here it goes.
Oh, okay.
So, and he says men and women with recent ancestry from low altitudes and warm climates generally have proportionally long limbs, and according to the Carl Bergman rule, also tend to be more narrow and have slimmer pelvic bones. Both of these features are advantageous for running and jumping. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then he found that sickle cell trait and low hemoglobin are evolutionary adaptations to malaria.
Right. And so people have lower rates of malaria death with low hemoglobin levels.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that was page 121, 181. Yeah. That's interesting that we both highlighted that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting. I mean, it's so many tidbits of information in there about there's I have not written it down, but he's also studied a family, I think in Finland, that had some kind of genetic
melatonin, right? Something to do. It
I
affected
don't
their melatonin. Yes.
Yeah, but it made them the best skiers
Yeah.
there was without without bringing forth much effort. So
Yeah.
they were just naturals, and the
Right.
whole clan, the whole family was like that.
Yeah, that was fascinating. So many things. If our listeners are interested in just in the human body and genetics, and I mean, we didn't even get into the real controversial men and women's sports, but
Yeah.
as you can tell, the genetics don't lie. And so if someone who's 6'2" or someone who's 5'3" like me, I'm thinking the 6'2" is probably going to be a better pole vaulter than I am.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining me today, Dr. Venus. And so
It was a pleasure.
Next time we're going to talk about the book Biased, and that should be really interesting.
That should be interesting. Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So episode 11. Hopefully next week we'll probably.
I hope so. Yeah, we should be able to.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you for joining us on the Three Docs Book Club, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.